Welcome to the EOB Podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Ben No, and joining me is Sen Duong. Oh, Sen, so welcome back to another podcast.
Thanks.
Okay, so last weekend we have, I believe, just one movie? No, two movies. One is actually expanding. So with the Maze Runner being the new one and Hostels, it expanded. That's
Oh, went
Yeah,
wide,
it went
yeah.
wide. That was the Christian Bale movie.
Right.
So we can jump into it.
Okay.
All right. So coming in at number one is Maze Runner: The Death Cure. It is the third and final Maze Runner movie. Unlike previous YA novels, right? They
Mm.
actually left well alone and then break the final book into two movies. And unlike I think the Divergent series, right? It actually managed to finish out the series in theaters.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So this movie opened to 23.5 million.
The first two did around 30 million, so this is kind of like not quite up to par, but not that.
We kind of expected the movie to dip though, right? The third and final
Yeah.
movie. I mean, since the second movie made about 2 million less than the first movie. I mean, if that's the series gained momentum, you expect the second movie to open higher, even higher. But it's kind of
Yeah.
maintain its fan base and even managed to lose some as well. And we expect that the third movie, people might not want to finish out the series. And but in all in all, it actually did pretty well, right? It opened to 23.5 million. So the drop off is not that big, but still there's some erosion there.
Yeah.
Let's get to our projections. I said it would open to 25 million. I thought it would get a series finale bump, and maybe it did, right? And you said
Mm.
it would open to about 18.5 million. So it's kind of like in
Right,
between
right,
where we
right.
had it. So we were right just there.
Yeah, closer to you though. Closer to you. You were just like a million or two off, so you were right there. I mean, in relative terms, it did get a slight series finale bump, I guess, because we had low expectations. I think the industry had low expectations,
Right, right.
and it kind of exceeded that a little bit. But you were right there,
Yeah, I
though.
mean the industry couldn't. I'm not sure if they couldn't wait or they expected this. It's like the YA genre. They try to discover or try to make all these movies that has a series, trilogies or whatever, and try to bring these to the big screen. And it haven't really worked out well, except for maybe the Hunger Games, and then of course the Twilight series, which started it all, right?
Yeah. Divergent series, Maze Runner, I mean, they did decent. It's just that it's just oversaturated. Because before it was just Twilight, and then Twilight finished up, and then Hunger Games came. And then when Hunger Games came, we have Divergent, we have Maze Runner, all of them trilogies or full film series. And we also have the great what's that sex movie based on Twilight?
Oh, 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey. We also have that. So we have almost like four ongoing franchises, YA franchises, and people are just kind of tied.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 50 Shades. It's within the same genre.
Well, 50 Shades was the, fan fiction redo of Twilight.
Well, it's different enough, right? I mean, it's different enough that
Yeah,
you
it
don't.
is different enough, but it's essentially follows the same arc. No, it's just it is essentially Twilight written for S&M or whatever you call it, BT, whatever.
Okay, sure. All right.
Yeah.
You could
So,
talk more about that, right, Sen?
well, I couldn't even pronounce the initials, so I
Okay, all right, all right.
so
I believe you. I believe you. But I think more I guess damning of the YA genre is that the series that we mentioned, the Maze
mm,
Runner, the Divergent series, even Hunger Games. I mean, they all have similar themes. It's
yeah,
basically this group of young people, either going up against the old powers, adults or what have you,
yeah.
and try to carve out their own world eventually.
Well, they're inside this self-contained world, and they have to get through some obstacles and to make it out of this world alive. So they all follow a similar theme.
Yeah. I think that's more damning of the YA genre is that, hey, we pretty much watching the same movies.
Yeah, well, essentially, and the reason why the other YA movie, what is it, the one about the two people based on a real life story, they have cancer or something.
Oh, The Fault in the Stars.
Yeah, Fault in the Stars. The reason why that did humongous, sure, the book was popular, that also did gangbusters is because it's different. It's not people going through some obstacles in a self-contained world. It's about two people who were really sick and who fell in love. So it's different. It's a drama. It's like what you mentioned. The reason why Marvel did so well is their films follow different genres. You have a family film like Ant-Man, a heist film. You have Thor, which was essentially the first one is a fish out of water, romantic comedy almost. Doctor Strange is very different. They all kind of span multiple genres.
Right, and I think it's bad. I guess what leads to the decline is that all these movies pretty much appeared at the same time. Like we said, right? They're all pretty much the same movies. Had they been released at different periods, maybe it'll be received better. Maybe after the Twilight series.
They space it out a little bit.
Maybe after the Twilight series, then there is the Hunger Games, right? And after the Hunger Games, maybe they release Divergent. Yeah, and then after that, so it's just,
maybe Maze Runner.
Yeah, maybe they could, like this market can only support one of these series at a time since they're all the same, right?
Yeah, not 3 or 4 of them at the same time.
But getting back to the Maze Runner Death Cure, I pretty much did a little better than what we expected to do, right?
Yeah, you were right there.
Yeah.
You were right there.
Yeah. Even I said
give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah, I did. I'm doing it again. But even I said 25 million. I kind of expected to get a little bit lower, but hey, I gave it a little bump, and I guess it that's what the bump is. I mean, it could be your 18 million, but and then it got a bump, and it rise up to 23.
Right.
Okay, so the series is over, so we won't have any more Maze Runner coming along, and
maybe they can take a break. Let all these movies give it a break. Give that audience a break.
Right.
Wait until 50 Shades of Grey is finished. In a couple of weeks.
Well, I think that's a different series since it's rated R and everything, and has a different audience composition than something like Maze Runner.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right. Okay, and let's mention the overseas figures. It grossed 82 million overseas for a worldwide total of 105 million. So budget is 62 million. So it's gonna do okay for Fox.
It's doing really well. Yeah, considering the overseas figures, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how the film the previous ones did overseas.
I think those usually do pretty well overseas. That's why we're seeing, the final the movie.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so the first one did 246 million overseas, for a total of nearly 350 million, off of a budget of just 34 million. Super profitable film. The second one experienced a slight dip, 312 million, but at a budget of 61 million, it was still hugely profitable. And it looks like this one the budget is around 60 million too. You know what? It looks like it'll probably get to around 280, 300 million. So going to be a super profitable film for them.
Right. And important thing is that they kept the budget relatively low, right? The Divergent series is around the 80s to over 100. And
I think the third film went up to 100 million or something.
Yeah, so it ran into trouble there because the math doesn't work out.
Yeah, right. So maybe that's a takeaway. After a small break, do these and keep the budget at 50 million. There's still an audience for it.
Right. There is an audience, but it's just that they saturated the market all at the same time.
Well, it's hard to control, right? You have all these studios. They all want a part of this pie, and everyone wanted a part of the pie, and there's only a certain amount of people, certain amount of customers.
Right, true. And you have all the other big franchises, right? You have all the superhero movies, all vying for the same audience. Star
Yeah.
Wars. It's it might be one movie a year now. Sooner or later they're
Mm.
gonna move to two movies a year.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right? More stories to tell.
Right.
Okay. How about we move along to number two? It's Jumanji. Welcome to the Jungle. It's been, I guess, the last 3 or 4 weekends at the top, right? And it finally fell
Yeah.
down to number two. I pulled in
Right.
16.4 million. The drop off is still low, about 16% drop off from the
Yeah,
previous
holding
weekend.
up really well.
Yep. Hey,
Yeah.
and domestic gross right now is 338 million, and the worldwide take is at 822 million. Budget is 90, so it's big, huge financial success for Sony.
Right. Yeah, I think we said everything we could say about this film.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's gonna be more Jumanjis coming along.
Cinematic
Right,
universe.
right, true.
Cinematic
Okay,
universe.
how about you bring us in number three?
At number three is Hostels, the Christian Bale Western movie. Put in 10.2 million. It expanded from a couple hundred theaters to around 3,000 theaters. So far, the total gross is about 12 million. The opening 10 million is kind of a little bit better than where we had it, right? Or what people were expecting.
Yeah, we both said 8 million, so it did a little bit better, but we're pretty close there.
We're kind of right there, yeah. This week we're not bad. We're kind of right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 8 million is probably where most people have it. Some people had it even lower, like 5. Like I think Box Office Mojo had it at around 5. It did 10, which is better than what the most optimistic projections were.
Right. I mean, we expect, our expectations were low with 8 million, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
a period piece war movie with Indians, a
Mhm.
Western as well. So
You know what? Know what I'm surprised by? I read somewhere the budget is only 12 million. Am I right
well,
or
not
wrong?
surprising because there's not a lot of sets, right? It's all like wilderness, pretty much.
Well, it is a western.
Well, yeah, sure.
Costume movies
Yeah.
tend to be expensive, but maybe like you said, because they film most of it in the desert, it's just a little bit of costumes.
Yeah,
Um,
horses, and
Yeah.
crew
So
to control
if the
them.
budget is 12 million, then this is a pretty solid modest success.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't expecting great things from this movie, as we outlined in the last podcast.
Oh, actually, you know what? Let me see. On Google, the budget is listed at 40 million.
40 million? Okay.
Yeah, so at 10 million, not bad. Not sure if it's gonna make back the 40 million.
But not good either, right?
we'll
40
see.
million right now is already in its
Yeah.
sixth weekend, right? And it's only expanding.
Yeah, well, it's just expanded, so we'll see how well it holds up. Because the thing with these films is normally when they expand, they tend to not open that well. The fact that this has been playing in limited screens and pulled in 10 million, it's actually pretty good.
Sure, but it's also since it's using this platform release, they don't expect this to be one of these huge blockbusters, which attracts these the young people. So I don't see this movie to be that leggy. Maybe I'm just throwing things out there. Since we also have the Oscar noms just came out, right? And I expect people to catch up on those instead.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think it bodes well for it just because it's been on limited release for so long. Usually when you see a limited release out for a while, unless it's getting major Oscar nominations, and when they do pull in 10 million figure, it's like, it's like a movie with like lots of nominations, lots of buzz. This one had no buzz. And it pulled in
But
10 million.
this one has Christian Bale, so he,
Yeah.
he's still Batman.
Yeah. So we'll see. The fact that it was able to have an audience in a limited release and still able to retain it on wide release, I think bodes well for it. But who knows? Right? Like you said, maybe it's just Christian Bale.
Right. So you're saying this movie has some potential, we should keep
Maybe,
an eye on.
maybe.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
maybe.
We'll take your maybe. And I probably don't have high hopes for this movie. Like I said,
Right.
not a movie that appeals to the masses. And the opening kind of reflects it. I think it even surprises me since it even got to 10 million. But hey, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, speaking of leggy movies, I don't think Hostels will be as leggy as our next movie, The Greatest Showman. It's like the most leggy movie of every movie in the top 10 so far, including Jumanji. The Greatest Showman pulled in 9.5 million over the weekend. The drop off is only 11%. I think of all the films in the top 10, it experienced the lowest drop off.
Yes.
And so far, the domestic total is 126 million. The worldwide figure is 259 million.
Yeah, so not bad, not bad. Since Hostels and The Great Showman is so close together, I just have a thought that we haven't seen Christian Bale in a musical, right?
Newsies.
I haven't seen that.
Newsies, yeah, he was when he was a kid.
Oh, that was long ago.
Yeah,
but yeah, maybe he should consider a musical, or maybe that's not his forte. So who knows? But anyway, just putting it out there. Since
I don't know
Jackman's
his voice. I don't think he has the kind of voice as Hugh Jackman that.
Right.
Or who knows?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman is one of these multi-talented
He's an entertainer.
People. Right. He sings.
He's an entertainer.
He acts. What else could he do? Right. He can play.
Yeah, he can host an Oscar show.
Right. That too. And he he could play some guy, a Wolverine, right? An action role, and then and all this and
dramas
right,
like Les Mis.
Right. So his range is great.
And he can do he can do romantic comedies. He can do everything.
Yep. There it goes. All right. Let's move along to number 5, The Post. It pulled in about 8.9 million over the weekend, and it's already in its 6th weekend. Drop off is about 25% from its previous weekend. Domestic gross right now is 8.5. Budget is about 50 million. I don't think it got nominated for anything, right?
No, it did. I think so. I think it got nominated for Meryl Streep.
Oh, actress.
I think got nominated.
Oh, okay. Obviously, yeah. All right.
And then there's another one. It might have been Best Picture.
Best Picture and Meryl Streep. All right. So it didn't get the bump that I expected to get.
Yeah, but it continues to hold up well.
It's okay. Like I said, it's one of these indie movies that is populated by big stars, big name director, but it's just not doing as well. I feel, given the talent involved, and maybe it's because of the subject matter. Maybe they need these people to keep it at this level. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure what kind of numbers people were expecting. I don't think people were expecting huge numbers. So something. Especially a film about a subject matter that is so dry, about newspaper, a dying medium. So the fact that it's already holding 60 million.
Well, sure, but this is about the cover up, government cover up. Yeah,
Yeah,
Nixon.
and how
it's related to our current president.
Yeah, and how big are those films?
Well,
they're not blockbuster movies. They're in the what's the director that does all these conspiracy movies?
Oliver Stone.
Yeah, it's in Oliver Stone territory, and these films depend on nominations and the awards buzz to push them to 100 million.
Oh. Well, I think it's just people just don't want to know, maybe.
These very dry subject matter. It looks like it's gonna could get to 100 if it continues to hold up this well. But probably closer to 90 million maybe.
Maybe. But if we take this movie as an indie movie of the 58 million is actually pretty good.
Yeah, which it is kind of an indie.
Right. It just that has big,
even
big
though
names.
You have Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep.
It didn't get the Oscar bump that I expected to get, but like we said, could be just the subject matter.
Yeah.
All right, moving along to number 6 is 12 Strong with Thor, Chris Hemsworth.
Middle East.
Afghanistan.
Middle Eastern.
Is Afghanistan in the Middle East, or is it in the
Yeah, it's Middle East.
Okay. So it pulled in 8.6 million in the second weekend. Drop off is relatively low. I expect a bigger drop off, but drop off is about 45%.
Which is not bad for an action movie.
Yeah. So and it grows about 30 million after 2 weeks.
Yeah, so kind of a modest hit for Chris Hemsworth. He actually has an audience. He can give you a modest hit.
Wow, he's still at that
Outside of the Thor
right.
movies.
He's still at the mid-level kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, not A-list.
So
yet,
outside of Thor, well, here's the thing though. A lot of them can do this when they're still playing, the superhero movies like Christian Bale.
Right.
But when they're done with the superhero movies, can they still pull in these numbers? We have to see.
Well, that's why he's making all these movies while he's still playing Thor.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So build up that resume there.
Right. And neck with 12 Strong. I think 10 of these was a spot higher when they opened last week. They've kind of follow each other.
No, 12 Strong was actually better than of these.
Oh, okay. So they both neck last week too. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so 12 Strong was on top last week too.
Mm-hmm, yes.
So Den of Thieves did about the same number, 8.4 million. When the final figures comes out, they might switch positions. Drop off same thing, about 45%, and they made about the same total, 29 million total so far. Joel Butler, kind of a modest hit for him.
Yep.
He can still do action movies and pull them in.
Yep. Doesn't have to rely on those romantic dramas anymore, romance movies.
Yeah, right. He does decent in those too. But now that his Olympus has fallen, well, I guess they're making another one too, right?
I believe so. The last Olympus movie performed well too.
Overseas.
Yeah. Overseas. So we have to put that in overseas. And Gerard Butler, he's the guy that I guess transitioned from romance movies into these action thrillers. Now.
No, he's always been action. 300 put him on the map.
Yeah, sure, but they always pulled him back. Wanting to pull him back into these romance movies, and I think it's one of these genres, like the romance genre, like they don't have a high opinion of. I mean,
yeah, well, I think they're thinking like, Hugh Jackman. Hey, here's a tall, tough-looking, good-looking guy. Let's put him in a romantic comedy. Diversify.
Right. But I don't think these actors actually like doing them.
Yeah, but I don't think they do. Yeah,
the prestige is not there. I think.
Yeah. You know what they're doing it for.
Right.
It's just. It's just for the woman to look at.
Right. That's true. And they don't want to be objectified, right?
Yeah, right. Like Matthew McConaughey, that was his bread and butter. His romantic comedies. That was his bread and butter. They always make anywhere from 50 to 80 million.
That's true. And now he's moving on. I mean,
Yeah. He finally told his agent, I need to get my career into another place. I don't want to be laughed at. Well, I'm not sure if you could be laughed at, making movies that make consistently pull in 50 to 80 million.
Well, it's not, those movies they're not really proud of, say, oh, I was in that movie, but I wasn't into it.
Right, yeah.
So
it's just for the paycheck.
Exactly.
Work.
Yeah, that's right. It's just work. All right.
Yeah.
That's 12 strong, 8.6 million. So I think the relative ranking between.
I think we're at Den of Thieves.
Oh, okay, Den of Thieves. Okay, so I was mixed up there. So I think the relative ranking will stay the same. With Den of Thieves being lower than 12 strong, because they kind of target the same audience as well. Action thriller.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're both. Yeah.
Let's move along to number 8, which is The Shape of Water. It's kind of like a horror movie, right? Directed by.
I think it's more horror romance drama.
Okay, one of those mixed genres films. Directed by Guillermo del Toro. And this is a movie that's getting an Oscar bump. It pulled in 5.7 million over the weekend. Domestic gross is about 37.7 million.
Shape of Water got 13 nominations, right?
Yeah, and I heard that this movie might be the front runner for Best Picture.
Yeah. You know what? Guillermo del Toro was able to make this movie because of Triple X, the last Triple X movie.
Okay. Okay.
Pacific. He was ready to make Pacific Rim 2, but the soundstage, the sets were already occupied by Triple X, the Vin Diesel and Donnie Yen movie. So they had to push Pacific Rim 2 to 6 months later. And he was ready to film, so he was pissed. He's like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to sit here and wait 6 months. That's why another director is directing Pacific Rim 2. So he asked his friends, his mentors, I think James Cameron and some other big name directors, they read the script for The Shape of Water, and they told him, hey, forget about Pacific Rim 2, make Shape of Water, and it's paying off. So it pays to listen to your friends.
Yeah, true. But it's kind of one of these. I would love to be in that conversation because you see the movie. It's like, oh, there's a water creature having some sort of relationship with a human, and it's like, make that movie. How do you go from here to there? It's quite interesting, right?
When they heard of the concept like you, they were probably like, I don't know.
Right.
But I guess what they saw in the script is obviously really, really good.
Right. But then again, if you say that James Cameron's involved, then hey, he made Avatar.
Yeah, right. And he also made another water movie. What's that one that it kind of bombed, but it's still like a bomb to him as a movie that made like 50, 60 million.
Oh, you mean that was Piranha? That the Piranha movie? Where...
No, not Piranha. No, not the Piranha movies. Those were like video type. Those were low budget. James Cameron, we gotta look it up. There you go. It's really good. It's just
I just remember that
the Abyss.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, the Abyss. Yeah. So I'm not sure if James Cameron was one of those guys, in this conversation, but I hear James Cameron mentioned a lot.
Okay.
In relation to Guillermo del Toro, so they know each other.
All right. So in the case, right, as you say, because of
Triple X.
Guillermo del Toro might win an Oscar.
Yeah, because of Triple X.
Because of Triple X, yeah, he owes Triple X.
He was
career.
pissed. He was pissed at them, but
Okay.
now he's probably thanking them for making The Shape of Water possible.
Okay. Right. I mean, he could make some throwaway movie like Pacific Rim 2, but now he got his chance for recognition.
To win an
to win an Oscar.
Well, I'm surprised that Shape of Water already pulled in before this week had already pulled in about 30 million just playing it in limited release. It has never reached the top 10, but it had one of those platform releases, but mostly limited. And was able to pull in 30 million on very limited screens.
Yeah. Well, it's in its ninth week of release already. So as long as you stay in theaters, right, and as long as you can keep the interest level up, and hopefully getting some award bump, they could slowly make money that way.
Yeah. So very super leggy kind of it just kind of stayed there. I mean, right. Lady Bird had all the talk and all the hype. You hear about Shape of Water too, but Lady Bird got all that hype, and Shape of Water just kind of stuck there, and now it's getting that bump.
You're right. It's just I guess because of the I believe the budget, right? Really, it's just a better looking movie as well, and I think from what I heard, just people just get blown away by this movie.
Yeah.
How about you bring us in on the final two?
Sure. What was I looking? Shape of Water. We didn't mention the RT reviews.
Oh, okay.
Again, we do real-time research here.
It's okay. All in editing. We can join length. Oh, reviews are 92% Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
very good. Very well-reviewed film. All right, speaking of well-reviewed films, the next one on our list, at number 9, is Paddington 2, which is still 100%, I believe, on Rotten Tomatoes, pulled in 5.6 million over the weekend. The drop-off is 30%, which is not bad considering it lost about 100 theaters. The total domestically so far is 32 million, which is disappointing considering the first film did, I think, 76 million domestically. This one will probably end up only doing I don't know, maybe mid 40s.
Mm-hmm.
If it does 50, that wouldn't be too bad. But the worldwide figure is not bad. Worldwide is at 186 million.
Yeah, so domestically, it's not doing that great, as you said, considering the first film. Do you think they're gonna be a Paddington 3 since the overseas market is it's doing so well?
Well, the budget is relatively modest in the 50 million range, and if you look at the budget, it's already very profitable. It's already made 3 times that, and it's still going. So I think you will see a Paddington 3, especially the reviews are really good. It's gonna make a profit. It's already making a profit. It'll probably make more money on home video because it targets a family audience.
Mm-hmm.
And this time they botched the marketing because the Weinstein company, because of the allegations and the company is being auctioned off, and they just haphazardly do this at WB, and they just kind of released it. So I think there'll be a third one.
Okay, all right. So maybe that one will be better since this movie is so well reviewed, and it's waiting to get discovered on home video. As you said, they'll probably make more money on home video than in theatrical, and overseas market doing pretty well, except just here it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What's number 10?
Okay, bring us in.
Okay, at number 10, I'll take a crack at this. Padmaavat pulled in 4.3 million at 300 screens. Is this one of these? Is this a Indian movie?
Yes, it's an Indian movie. One of these epics.
Bollywood.
Yeah, Bollywood film. I think there's, Bollywood is a general term for movies from India, but I heard that there's like various regions in India that created all these, various different types.
Yeah, there's different kind of woods.
Yeah, okay,
Bollywood, depending on the language and region.
Right. So it's one of these Bollywood movies that made it over here, and again, doing opening very
made it
well.
to the top 10.
Yeah,
and we see it we see it relatively consistently. They're able to open these films in around 300 theaters or 400 theaters, a couple hundred theaters. A lot of times they crack the top 10.
Yeah. And it's one of these movies that's kind of like big epic action movie, with big armies and etc. It's probably long.
Yeah. I think I think other filmmakers, I guess film companies from other countries might want to take a look at how the Bollywood is able to be so consistently successful at distributing their films in the U.S.
True too, but since they have like a kind of a distinct market there, and also if you take a look, all their movies that made it into the top 10 or open well, or this movies with like great production values, they look really good. They have all these big action set pieces. One of these movies that they throw everything in.
Right.
So.
But still, I'm not sure how big what percentage of the population are Indians, but I don't think it's that huge. But they're consistently able to distribute these films in hundreds of theaters and crack the top 10 at the box office. Whereas films from other countries, sometimes they make 1 million or 2, and that's or less, or a couple 100,000, and that's about it.
Yeah, recently we've seen some Mexican movies cracking the top 10.
Yeah, Spanish. Yeah, but just one though.
Yeah, but I don't think they bring over that many.
Instructions not included.
Yeah. But I think if they bring it more consistently, I think there's a market for that, since we have a huge Mexican population here. If they target that.
Right, Spanish. Yeah.
So I think it's just having someone just bringing these movies over. I think would probably work well. Just that like for other countries, right? For other, let's take Hong Kong for example, right? They just don't even bother bringing them over. Just let some other company, sell the rights to some other some distributor here, and do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, not sure. Someone should look into it.
Oh. Yeah, let's push this off onto that fictitious someone.
Yeah.
All right, that rounds up the top 10. Let's move on to our lone wide release this weekend, which is Winchester. Since we talk about 50 Shades movie, 50 Shades 3 is coming up the following week, right? So that's why we only have one release, Winchester, Helen Mirren horror movie.
Yeah, the film looks good visually, and Helen Mirren has been consistent. Even for indie releases, they tend to do anywhere from 20 to 30 million. So she kind of has a draw. So Winchester, I don't know, 10 to 15.
10 to 15. Okay, so let me introduce this movie a bit. Helen Mirren's an heiress who, to a firearms company, and she is haunted by ghosts of people killed by the rifle, the Winchester. And 10 to 15. I think that's a bit high. So I think it's
so not a movie that the NRA will support.
Or maybe they will. Maybe the ghosts get killed by guns at the end. Right? Helen Mirren,
That's true. Yeah. Right,
grabbing a
right.
rifle, start shooting.
Yeah, right. That's true. Maybe they will support this movie.
Right, but this is a movie that I don't think is familiar to her fans, right? She's more into dramas or whatever, period pieces even, but a period horror movie, I don't know.
So I'm 10 to 15. What are you thinking?
I say 5.
Oh, 5? All right.
5.
We'll see.
Okay.
I think you're kind of low there.
Maybe.
Never underestimate the whole audience, and never underestimate Helen Mirren.
This is but Helen Mirren and horror. Come on, there's like 2 different oil and water groups, right?
Who knows? They might mix like the yin and the yang.
Maybe it could be right, but okay. So tune in next week to see who's right.
All right. See you guys next week.